Right, so it's my turn. Let's talk about NXT. So what I'm going to do, Carl, I'm going to precursor this because we've not really talked on Takeover because we haven't really tackled Takeovers in the past. I know we intended on tackling this one, but, hey ho. Now, the reason I'm going to mention Takeover is very briefly just to some elements that are key to going forward with NXT. So at Takeover, which, by the way, was the In Your House, which was a fun, nostalgic pop for all. We saw the triple threat match for the women's title, the NXT women's title, between Rhea Ripley, Io Shirai, and Charlotte Flair, which saw Io Shirai taking the win and taking the belt. So Charlotte is no longer the NXT champion. So that's one thing to be clear on. We saw Karrion Kross defeat Tommaso Ciampa. So we're done and dusted with that. We saw Adam Cole defeat the Velveteen Dream in a backlot brawl, which was fucking crazy. And also saw Velveteen Dream come out dressed like Negan from The Walking Dead for some reason. Okay. And Adam Cole took the win. So now the bit between him and Velveteen Dream is not just done, it is done because he apparently, no, hang on. Can Velveteen Dream challenge again? Was that the stipulation, or was it just?
Yeah, so he can't challenge Adam Cole again.
He can no longer, but he can no longer challenge. I just want to be clear on that, sorry, because I doubted myself for a sec. So it's just Adam Cole. If Adam Cole loses the belt, Velveteen Dream can challenge whoever else. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Adam Cole still champ. Keith Lee defeated Johnny Gargano and retained his NXT North America Championship. So obviously we're seeing where that's going to go going forward. Finn Balor took the win on Damian Priest, which this. I think we're done with it. We'll find out in NXT because he was obviously the man who attacked Finn. So I don't know. And then we had the 6-woman tag team match, which happened. I don't think it matters. All due respect to it. So that was NXT Takeover. Now, Carl, I know I've been very brief on that. Do you have any notes from Takeover that you wanted to mention before we kick off with NXT fully?
No, not massively. I think.
Did you enjoy the little touches, the little reminders of?
Yeah, I was going to say the whole kind of nostalgia piece was quite nice. Like the little callbacks they did. They brought back that interviewer fella from
the interviewer guy from way back when.
They had the callback to the segment of HBK still doesn't know how to work a computer. No matter what year it is, he couldn't work one back then. He can't work one now.
Yeah, they had Adam Cole do a little Ico Pro skit. Similar to Bret Hart, which was nice. So it was a ton of fun little nostalgic bits. It was really probably the most creative pay-per-view we've seen from WWE in a while. The set was interesting, the skits were interesting. It was all very fun, very enjoyable in that sense.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So I know what you're thinking. How do you top that? You don't. We move on back onto NXT. So obviously there's a lot of change going forward, a lot of story development going forward. So we have Adam Cole cutting a promo. That's how we start NXT this week. And he's declaring himself the most dominant man in NXT. And then this leads ultimately to a back and forth between him and Dexter Loomis, who appears in the audience. And he basically sets up a match for later that night. So Adam Cole is going to defeat him. Obviously, Loomis, for those who, because I'd neglected to mention it, Loomis kidnapped the Undisputed Era at Takeover in Your House. Drove off with them in a van. Apparently they're okay, but that was sort of like his involvement, as it were. So Adam Cole is going to have a match with him later on tonight, and he's going to defeat him and put that to bed because he is the most dominant guy in NXT. Which, in all fairness, he is the NXT champion. He's incredibly good, so maybe he's got a point. I don't know. How are you still feeling about Loomis, Cal? I don't know where they're going with this guy. I really don't.
Do you know what? I still love him.
Okay.
Proper love.
You're entitled to your feelings, Carl. That's what it's all about.
The little psychotic drawings that he does that kind of show what is on his crazy.
I thought you'd be so pissed off with that. To be honest, I'm really surprised you enjoy the drawings.
No. I thought they were quite good. I think
like he's really intense and kind of creepy. And let's make him a painter. I thought you'd be so annoyed with that.
No, I think. Do you know what? I think it's a nice little touch because how do you kind of convey what a lunatic somebody is just with little facial expressions, which he's doing really well. How do you take it that little next step? And it's like, well, how can you ever know what's on a psychopath's mind? I know, draw what's on my mind, and like the little drawings he's done so far.
At least they didn't try and do like interpretive dance or something. At least it was drawing.
Well, yeah, fucking hell, exactly. So I don't know. I'm quite big over on this guy. I think he's I'm all on the Dexter Loomis train. I think he's fantastic.
Okay, that's fair enough. It's better than being on the Strowman Express.
Hey.
Right, so we move on to the first match of the night, which I'm not sure I've nothing against the match, but I'm not sure why it happened in some senses. We come off Gargano and Keith Lee having the match for the North American Championship, and Keith Lee won. We had the match the previous week, which was a tag match between Mia Yim and Keith Lee and Johnny and his missus. And Keith Lee got stabbed in the eye for some fucking reason. So naturally, this week we also have a match between Johnny Gargano, Candice LeRae against Keith Lee and Mia Yim. So it wasn't a bad match. It's just I'm a bit like, why do we need? Because are they going to carry on feuding? Are we going to have another match for the North American Championship? Is Gargano just plagued with constantly repeating matches with people? Because that's all I've seen him do so far.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm fine with it. They ended with Gargano taking the win. With a surprise roll up on Keith Lee. From Keith accidentally knocked Mia Yim off the ring apron, was concerned by it. Surprise roll up. So we've now had, he lost at Takeover, but he's rolled him up for the pin.
Was it this match or was it Takeover? I can't remember. Where was it? Candice LeRae who got? Didn't Keith Lee fall on Candice LeRae and looked like she was absolutely wiped out? And then Gargano was like, "Well, fuck you, Candice. I know you me misses, but I'm going to pin Keith Lee."
I can't. I don't know. I remember it happening. I honestly don't know. I think it might have been this match.
Yeah, I can't remember. Like for me, this match was so weird because why are they trying to have Mia Yim and Keith Lee just like become some weird little couple now? Because they've got like some little weird little tension between the two of them.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the aim is with this, because we're kind of done with Keith Lee and Gargano, so it can't carry on staying. We're going to have another tag match to decide ultimately who's going to win out of these two pairings. I don't know what the point of this was at all, because it was not even a clean win. So you could argue he could come back and go, hang on, no, let's have a proper match. I don't know.
Yeah, seems a bit misguided. I think it seems like they're not done. Where it's like, well, okay, what next?
Yeah. So that one happened again. Not a bad match. They're all great in the ring. They're all good. It's worth watching, but it doesn't really add much story wise for me. Speaking of not add much story wise, Carl, the next match we have is I can never remember what the tag name is, but Malcolm Bivens' two giant fellas have a squash match and squash some the local competitors. I don't know. Again, just further prove it. They're both there. They're massive. They haven't done a lot yet, but they're squashing unheard of talent to, going full Sheamus with it. Let's turn up, squash some people you've never heard of, just to prove that we're strong. I don't know why they're going with this. They're a tag team, so are they going towards the tag titles? Who knows? Let's wait and see.
They even know themselves where they're going.
No, I don't think anyone does until Vince decides on the night to be.
Yeah, it's one of them. I'm a big fan of a squash match when it makes sense, but these guys have just been showed up and facing nobodies and beating them for a while now. So it's like, okay, you're going to do something, or is this just what you do?
Exactly. But speaking of potential tag team competitors, Carl, we then cut to a promo from Breezango. So we saw them return last week to a fairly good pop. I was made up to see them back. They do work well as a tag team, but this promo was them sort of making the point that they're here to change their image in NXT, and that they basically are looking towards the tag titles, and they are gonna sort of, I don't know, show us what they're made of, become a more serious tag team, I suppose, rather less silly and a bit more what's the word? Not believable. What's the word? Credible, I guess. So again, it's nice to see the direction they're taking him in. It's nice to see that it wasn't just like let's come back, and because we saw Tyler Breeze come back a few weeks back and then nothing. So it was nice to see it wasn't just a one-off to make you go, oh look, it's those guys. So I'm looking forward to. I'd like to see them in the tag scene as well. To be fair, what do you make of this potential changing gimmick that they're sort of hinting towards?
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite a big fan of them. So I think they're always going to have that comedy element, whether they detectives or the fashion files or whatever the fuck they are. They're always going to have that kind of comedy thing, which I think we've already spoken about is quite important. So I think,
oh yeah, exactly.
I'd like to see them do a good run.
Sometimes it can be missed, sometimes it can be hit, but I think they shouldn't avoid the comedy by any means. And I don't think they're going to be fair. I think it's just sort of getting the points across that they're going to be keeping their eyes towards the tag team scene, really. Or the championship scene, should I say. So then after that one, we moved to a match between Finn Balor and Cameron Grimes. Okay, sure, why not? But surprisingly, afterwards we see Finn Balor calling out Keith Lee because he wants to go for the North American title now. So not only was the Gargano thing pointless, it doesn't even look like there's going to be anything for Keith Lee and Gargano going forward. It looks like it's going to be Keith and Finn, which makes a bit of sense because they can't really do anything with Finn at the minute, because the whole idea was, Finn was going to come along and he was going to challenge. Help me out here, Carl. Who's the UK champ at the minute?
Walter.
He was going to challenge Walter, and then obviously all the COVID-19 stuff kicked off, and they can't really logistically do that. So then Finn's just there. So it looks like they're going to move into a bit of a storyline between him and Keith Lee, which, to be honest, I'm all for. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see the Limitless One versus, well, not necessarily versus the Demon. I don't think we ever see the Demon anymore.
No, see the Prince for some reason.
Yeah, so it looks like we might be moving towards Finn and Keith Lee. What do you make of the potential for this match, Cam?
I mean, yeah, it could be good. I just think it's a shame. Like, Balor is just a nobody now for me. I think he was, capable of being a main event guy. He was the Universal Champion WWE and stuff. And then I just feel like he's lost everything about him that made him kind of a top guy. I feel like he's proper main, proper mid card, and so much less main event now.
Yeah, and weirdly, it almost felt like he went back to NXT to elevate everything, and has not done him any favors at all.
Yeah, he's just hindered himself as opposed to elevating the product.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? He's no Charlotte. Right, so we move on to another. There seems to be happen a lot where you don't really get straight matches, and it is one little pet peeve of mine. NXT is not nowhere near as bad as the other shows, but we had Dakota Kai versus Kacy Catanzaro. I think I've pronounced that right. Now, basically, not too bad a match, but ended with shenanigans. So obviously Dakota Kai gets the win, thanks to help and interference from Raquel Gonzalez. And then we get Caden Carter coming out to try and make the save, but this leaves Gonzalez, which, to be fair, I think they are booking her like a beast. She goes for the one-arm powerbomb and just lays out Caden, and she comes out looking massively strong, and obviously the bad guys come out looking like the victors. But it's doing wonders for Gonzalez, as far as I'm concerned. They're booking like a beast, and that powerbomb does look awesome. But again, just messy, unnecessarily messy. Why can't we have just a straight match? I want a normal match, Carl, with a result,
Don't be ludicrous.
What do you make of Gonzalez, though? Because it seems like they are, I don't know where they're heading with her overall, but they're booking her like a beast at the minute.
Yeah, I honestly don't know what the end game is with it. I think there's kind of two or three categories within the women's division. Like you think of the men's division as the heavyweights, the super heavyweights, and the cruiserweights or whatever. It's very much a similar story in the women's division. You've got your 5'2" women like Alexa Bliss and stuff like that. Then you've got your Rhea Ripley's and your fucking Nia Jax's, and you've got the bigger ones. So I think she's definitely in that kind of side of things, but I don't feel like she's being represented very well at the minute. Like if they move her into something with Rhea Ripley or something like that, then fair dues.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Actually, I'd like to see that match.
Yeah.
But we hold out hope. I mean, they might be actually trying to amp up the women's tag division. Maybe we're going to see Dakota Kai and Gonzalez versus Sasha and Bayley at some point. Who knows?
Don't be silly.
Just don't know. Right, so then we get I'm going to call it a promo. Basically, Drake Maverick and Fantasma. I'm not going to say that. I always say it wrong, so I'm just going to call him Fantasma. Basically, have a bit of a back and forth in the ring. Drake is respectfully requesting a rematch between the two. And then, Carl, we get these two masks, luchador type people come out again. So, Drake's ready to defend. And what happens, Carl? He gets betrayed. That's what happens. He gets betrayed by Fantasma. And basically, Fantasma removes his mask and reveals himself to actually be Santos Escobar. Okay. You probably are. Don't know. And then, so he's a bad guy, Carl. It turns out he's a bad guy. He's been a bad guy the whole time. And he's only been there 3 weeks, so sure. Why not? And obviously the other two fellas, they reveal themselves to be Raul Mendoza and Jack and Wild. Okay, sure. Cool. No, I'm taking a mick a little bit because these, it's not a shock reveal when you don't know who the people are, and that might be lost on me. Other people might know. I don't know. But I'm like, so why did you, you've not been here long, so why did you bother coming here wearing a mask if you're just going to do that? It's not like you removed your mask and you were Edge. That would have been shocking.
I feel like they maybe just kind of lost the way a little bit on this. I think maybe it was like, oh well, no one knows how to pronounce El Hijo del Fantasma, whatever the fuck he's called. So let's just go with fucking
Santos.
Santos Escobar. Everyone
Yeah,
can do that. So
why not?
yeah, I don't know.
But that being said,
I don't know.
this could be potentially a nice little faction of heels for NXT. So hopefully they could be sort of dominating. And it could be like a good I don't know. I was going to say Undisputed Era could be a good feud, but then that'd be heel versus heel. I don't know. But nevertheless, it'd be interesting to see where they go with it from here. The shock wasn't really a shock for me because it's like, oh, okay, you're bad now. But again, this is some good character work, and we'll see where they go. Yeah, all in all, passable. Okay. Poor Drake.
Poor Drake.
Right, so then we move on to the match that was signposted earlier, Carl. The favourite part of the night for me, I'll be honest. So we had Adam Cole versus Dexter Loomis. Now, they wasn't too bad a match. Naturally, we get Undisputed Era getting involved. So it makes sense because it doesn't make Loomis look weak because Cole got the win based on the Undisputed Era causing the distraction and the issue. To the point that basically they suggest in the match that Loomis would have got the pin and the win had it not been for the Undisputed Era distracting the referee. So there's elements there that you could go, all right, yeah. So he's come out looking well from it, and I actually thought they were going to go with maybe building this feud up a little bit more, but no, Carl. What happens? What happens, Carl? The lights go out. The lights go out, Carl, and then we see Scarlett Bordeaux. I want to say her last name.
Yeah.
Karrion's missus comes out, walks down to the ring apron, places an hourglass on the edge of the ring apron to symbolise that Karrion is now gunning for Adam Cole, and Adam Cole's time, his days are numbered. TikTok, all that. It turns out, Karrion Kross is quite a fan of TikTok, and if you're listening, Karrion, we're quite popular on there.
Yeah, drop us a follow, man.
So I'm all for this, to be honest, mate. I quite enjoyed this. It's a bit of a shame. I know you're a Loomis mark, but I'm all for Karrion Kross going straight for Cole. He's come in looking dominant, looking awesome, and it just makes sense to me that he's going to go for the big fish now, not Bobby Fish, the big fish.
Part of me thinks this is the end for Cole.
I totally agree. Now, is it the end because he's going to let his contract expire and move over to AEW like we predicted, or is it his end because he's going to the main roster?
Yeah, either or. I think I don't know. They seem to be like huge over on Karrion, so he's definitely going to be the next guy.
He's just coming looking awesome, and I don't even think he's going to be on NXT very long. I think I can see him I can honestly see Vince like sort of knee-jerk panicking and sending him over to Raw because of how well he's doing. He's like, get him over there, get all the TikToks and the stuff.
No, I think Vince probably doesn't even know who he is. Let's be honest. I think.
I don't know how much he pays attention to these things. Yeah, and Triple H is, to be fair, he knows what he's doing. He's pretty good at the biz, really. Triple H. I mean, he's doing wonders with NXT. Not every week, but I've been enjoying it the last few weeks now, I must admit. It's been a really strong show the last few weeks. So, yeah, all on board for that. And that's how we close the night off, Carl. So, for me, overall, decent week. And I'd give it a 3.
Yeah, I can see that. I went a little bit more middle of the road with a 2.5, but I thought it was quite entertaining. The main event, as you've already said, was the kind of main standout for me. Yeah, there was just a couple of stuff in there, like the Gargano and Keith Lee thing again.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. A very unnecessary match and a repetition of what we've already seen. Probably the weakest point of the night, that.
Yeah, but I think they did a really good job in building that main event and understanding where the next kind of challenges lie with Adam Cole. So yeah, I quite enjoyed it.
Awesome. So that was NXT.